Hello there once again, this is Teacher Henry. For today, we're going to discuss about operations of multiplication on fractions. Now, remember that when we multiply fractions, we have to consider that at the end, we may or may not reduce the fraction to lowest term. It depends on the given problem. So let's have some examples. Say we have 3 over 4 times 5 over 11. So for these two fractions, you will notice that both fractions cannot be reduced to lowest term. And what do we do if we have that kind of given? All we have to do is to apply the operations or the process of what is known as direct multiplication. We really have to multiply the numerator by another numerator and the denominator by the corresponding denominator. So let's do it. So here, these are the two numerators. We have to multiply 3 times 5. That will give us 15. And for the denominators, we have 4 times 11 and we have 44. So this is now our final answer. This is what we mean by direct multiplication. You multiply the numerator and you multiply also the denominator. And your final answer cannot be reduced to lowest term. Why? Because both of them are already reduced to lowest term. Okay, let's have another example. For number 2, let's say we have 2 over, let's say 7 multiplied by 14, 22. Okay, here we can now reduce first the fraction to lowest term before we proceed to multiplication process. So here we can cancel the 7. When we canceled, okay, make sure that we cancel the denominator over the numerator or vice versa. You think of a number that can be divided both for 14 and 7, and that number is 7. So that means 14 divided by 7 will give us 2, and 7 divided by 7 will give us 1. We can also say that these two numbers here, 2 and 22, can be cancelled also. So 2 divided by 2 will give us 1, and 22 divided by 2 will give us 11. So let's examine what is now left for the two fractions. Here the numerator 2 becomes 1, the denominator 7 becomes 1. So we have 1 over 1. And the numerator, okay, the numerator 14 became 2, and here it becomes 11. So it's now 1 over 1, or simply 1, multiplied by 2 over 11, and this gives us a product of 2 over 11. Now, if you don't want to use the process of cancellation or reducing to lowest term at first, and then you can do the direct multiplication, but make sure that at the end, you will have to reduce the final answer for these two fractions to lowest term, and it will give you also the same answer. Let's do it. So let's apply direct multiplication for these two fractions. Let's just assume that we did not do the cancellation process. So 2 times 14 will give us 28. And well, it's a lot of computation. If we have 7 times 22, we have 154. So you see now, obviously, this 28 over 154 fraction is reducible by a certain number. So since these two numbers are even number, we can reduce this by dividing both of them by 2. Let's do it slowly. So 28 divided by 2 will give you 14. And this one, when you divide this 154 by 2, it will give us, let's say, 77. Now, this is still reducible. You divide this by 7, it will give you 2. And you divide this by 7, it will give you 11. So as you can see, if you did not apply the process of cancellation and your final answer is a little bit bigger, then you are forced to reduce this to lowest term slowly. So we first divide this, both numerators and denominators by 2, gives us 14 over 7, and we notice that both numerator and denominator still reducible if you divide both of them by 7. So 14 divided by 7 gives us 2, and 77 divided by 7 will give us 11. So our final answer is 2 over 11, and it's just the same as the answer when you use the process of cancellation. If I were you, it's better to use the process of cancellation because it reduces the fraction to the lowest term right away before we do the final multiplication process. So let's have one more. Okay, let's have the third example. So what if we have multiple factors, meaning we're going to multiply a number of fractions. Let's say we have 3 over 5 multiplied by 10 over 27 and then times 1 over 2 or 1/2, 9 over 7. So when we do the process of cancellation, we have to bear in mind that we cancel the numerator by the denominator with the same number. What I mean is, you can cancel 5 and 10, okay, or simply, we notice that 5 here times 2 will give us 10. So that means you can cancel this and this, which is a product of 10, and the same as this, 10. Meaning this is equal to 1, this is equal to 1, and then this is equal to 1. Okay? And then, what other things we can cancel? Okay? We have here 3 multiplied by 9, that gives us 27, and we have a denominator here which is equal to 27. That means we can cancel this and this and this. So you see, 3 times 9 will give us 27. That's why we replace these 3 numbers here only by 1. It's just like this, 3 times 9 over 27. Then that cancels everything. But remember, when you cancel some numbers, that doesn't mean it is equal to 0, but it is equal to 1 if they are the same. What numbers are left? We have 1 here. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 will give us 1. Here, 1 times 1 times 1 times 7. And now we have our final answer. Now for the last example, what if we're going to multiply fraction involving mixed number? Let's try this one. 2 and 1/3 multiplied by 5 over 28. And then lastly, multiply this by 6 over 7. Okay, how do we handle this kind of problem? First, remember, you have to convert this mixed number into improper fraction. How do we do that? Listen to this. You multiply 3 by 2, that gives us 6, and then we add the numerator. So 3 times 2, 6 plus 1 will give us 7. Therefore, this is 7, and then the denominator will be the same, 3. And then let's just copy the remaining fraction. And now, we can do the cancellation if there's any. So we have 7 here, can be cancelled by 28. Okay? This gives us 1, and this gives us 4. What do I mean? 7 divided by 7 will give us 1, and 28 divided by 7 will give us 4. And we have also numbers like 3 and 6. You divide 3 by itself, 3, it gives us, it gives us 1, and you divide 6 by 3, gives us 2. And then finally, we can cancel also this number 2 and the 4. So 2 divided by 2 will give us now 1, and 4 divided by 2, let's make it bigger, a little bigger, 2. Let's now compute 1 times 5 times 1 will give us 5. So we have 1 times 2 times 7 will give us 14. Okay, now this fraction 5 over 14 cannot be reduced to lowest term, therefore this is our final answer. Okay, we have to be very careful in changing fraction from mixed number to improper fraction, and then we also have to be very careful in the process of cancellation. Make sure that everything is cleared as far as the process of cancellation is concerned. Meaning, when you cancel two numbers here, make sure that the numbers, the equivalent fraction will be correct, so that your final answer will be correct also. Okay, so that's all for multiplication of fractions. I hope this discussion is very clear to you, and I suggest that you go over them again and practice it so that you can master the operation. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you on my next video.